building, 1500 Highway 2, Sandpoint, Idaho. We are streaming online via Zoom and YouTube. Is there anyone in attendance in need of special assistance to hear, see, or participate in these proceedings? Please take note of the hearing procedures on the screens. I will submit my written decision within 5 business days of this hearing. At this time, I'd like to lead the room in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flags over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty. Thank you. That's about 45 years. I had it printed out if you needed it. I hadn't done it for a long time since like grade school, so.
That's
Yeah, now it's in my, I sleep hearing it, so. Okay, so are there any changes to the agenda? No, okay, then I approve the agenda. Any announcements? Anybody? Nothing? Oh, man. It's smoky. Are there any corrections or changes to the October 5th, 2022 hearing minutes? Nope. Okay, then I declare them approved. Okay, so we are starting in our file today is file V0017-22. It's a variance street setback. The applicants are requesting an 11-foot and 13-foot street setback where 25 feet is required to construct a single family dwelling with an attached garage on a 1.03 acre parcel. The parcel is zoned Rural 5. The project is located off Sunnyside Hill Road in Section 18, Township 57 North, Range 1 East, Boise Meridian. And I have no conflict of interest with this project, so I am going to turn it over to Tyson.
Good afternoon, hearing examiner, members of the public. Welcome to a smoky day in North Idaho. We're hearing file V0017. This is, like you said, for a street setback. 11 feet is the closest encroachment that this structure is proposed to have from the furthest architectural projection being the eave of the house. Oh, you can just sit up. Yeah. So yeah, the setback, the way we measure those in Bonner County is based on the furthest architectural projection. And in this case, this is a private road that's located within a parcel instead of being a platted right-of-way. So that measurement then is taken from the property line that fronts the road, not the edge of travel. Brief overview of what's going on here. You can see there that the measurements are being taken from the eave of the house to the property line that fronts the road, but not the actual travel way. This is another overview of the property. Property does contain slopes of 15% or greater, all the way up to 30% or greater. Some details about the property. It's got essentially 0.5 acres on one side of the road and 0.5 acres on the other side for a total of just over an acre. Unplatted, zoned R5. Land use designations, rural residential, 5 to 10 AC for the comp plan. The access is by Sunnyside Hill Road, which is a privately owned and privately maintained gravel road. Services the property includes are Northside Fire, Vista Utilities, and individual septic and well. Property does not contain map wetlands according to the National Wetlands Inventory, and the parcels within SFHA Zone X and Zone AE. Oh, nope, that's a typo. It's just Zone X, not AE. So a little bit of background. Sunnyside Hill Road is a private road that's on its own parcel, but is not recognized by Bonner County, and Road and Bridge is a public right-of-way and does not meet the private road standards set forth in Appendix A, so far as I can find. The encroachment is not likely to create any additional constraints on the travelway as it is inside a separate parcel. The 11-foot setback is measured from the property line fronting the road and not the travelway. This measurement is taken from the eave of the garage and the home, not from the foundation. The applicants have a professional erosion control and stormwater management plan that will abate any potential erosion or sedimentation during and after construction. These management plans will be an improvement over the existing site conditions, which have no form of erosion control or stormwater management currently. The parcel's a very non-conforming parcel. It could not be created under current Bonner County Revised Code as it's divided by a right-of-way or, in this case, another parcel. Half the parcel is on one side of the road and the other half is on the other. This greatly encumbers the ability to have a building envelope on the property that would also work with a approved septic or drain field. And this is something that was described to me by the applicant as they had difficulty for finding a place for the septic tank and drain field with the slope and the orientation of the property. The subject property is also an odd shape, which further encumbers the building options. See, there's the really sharp point. It doesn't really have a whole lot of options without getting too close to one property line or the road. These are some of the application standards that we reviewed. 12234 is variance standards. There's 3 main components of that review. So the first condition or first component of the variance standards is conditions apply to the property that do not apply generally to other properties in the same zone or vicinity, which conditions are a result of lot size, shape, topography, or other circumstances of which the applicant has no control. So in this case, the property is unique because it has steep topography and it has a really odd shape. It contains slopes of 15% or greater to slopes of 30% or greater, which limit the buildable space, and also to accommodate locations for sewage disposal. Subject parcel is divided by a 1.86 acre parcel of land, and that is the parcel that contains South Sunnyside Hill Road. I know there's some history on Sunnyside Hill Road, and at one point it was a right of way and then it was a parcel, and now the way GIS determines it is it's its own parcel that the road lies within. Half of the property is on one side of the road and the other half is on the other side. So second criteria is special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. In this case, the applicant did not create the parcel size, shape, nor orientation. The applicant filed a building location permit, BLP 2022-1148, concurrently with this variance application. Permits pending approval, pending the approval of this variance application. Property was first described in warranty deed instrument 379-919, August 30th, 1990. That's the oldest deed I could find for this parcel. The applicants purchased the property December 7th of 2020. That's according to their warranty deed instrument 971663. The third criteria for reviewing a variance is the granting of this variance is not in conflict with public interest and that it will not be detrimental to public health, safety, or welfare, or material injurious to the properties of improvements in the vicinity of the subject parcel or lot. So there was one public comment that came in on October 11th, which was a couple of days after the staff report was prepared, because the staff report generally is prepared with a week before the end of the comment period. So it didn't make it in there. So that statement there that no comments or recommendations were received. There were no comments that were in opposition of this variance from agencies. There was one public comment from an adjacent property owner in opposition. This is just a response to the public comment that we did receive on October 11th. It cites potential geologic hazards to the existing roadway and emergency service vehicle access due to the proximity of the proposed structure to the travel way. So we routed this application to Northside Fire, and they did not respond to this application. And also, you know, the installing of a professional erosion control and stormwater management plan on this property will likely decrease the risk of erosion and sedimentation. These features don't exist on the property currently. It's just vacant land, but with these features installed, there will be ways of slowing, detaining, and treating any stormwater that happens to go across the property. And just to note, the road is on the downhills, or the property's on the downhill side of the road. The part that's going to be set back at 11 feet is on the downhill side of the road. So also, just to reiterate, the 11-foot setback from the property line fronting the road may actually put the house or the garage at 25 feet from the edge of travel. So the property line fronting the road, 11 feet, but the actual edge of travel, it would theoretically meet the required setback. These are the agencies that were routed on this application. They all had a chance to comment. Only one agency comment was received from the Department of Environmental Quality on the very last day of the comment period. Also did not make it into the staff report. It is not a project-specific statement. It's a general statement that they submit for all applications, just with general concerns. So staff has concluded that this project is consistent with Bonner County Revised Code. Staff recommends approval with conditions. Only development highlighted on the site plan has been reviewed for the variance standards, and all of the development shown must comply with Bonner County Revised Code. The second one is the granting of this variance shall not supersede any deed restrictions, and these conditions also apply to the building location permit. So just a little blowout of their site plan, you can see the eave of the garage will be approximately 24 feet from the edge of travel, and that's according to the survey they have of the property and the professional stormwater management plan and site plan that's scaled. These are some of the findings of fact, just general facts about the property and the vicinity. Finally, here's some images.
Put that back up. I wasn't.
Oh, yeah. There's general findings.
I'd like to read.
Finally, this is a expanded view of their stormwater management plan. This is not a part of the variance application. This is a part of their building location permit. Legend on the left has a whole list of erosion control features and stormwater management features that will be installed upon construction. These are for detainment of stormwater, slowing of stormwater, and during construction to prevent any erosion from or sedimentation from leaving the property. But it is a part of the building location permit, and not a part of the variance application. So finally, I'll open it up to the hearing examiner for any questions.
You just answered it.
Oh,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Okay, so at this time, we'll allow the applicant to come up and make a presentation. If there is anyone here. You're online, okay.
Good afternoon. This is Jeff Guyette and Sue Guyette. We're the applicants on the property that's part of the hearing today. We really don't have anything to add. I think Tyson's really covered it very well. We think that we've tried to cover our bases and work well with the planning department and with Pandale Health District to try to make this a usable lot in a very odd situation. So we're just trying to do our best to fit it on there and make it safe for us and for the surrounding community.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to read the rules of testimony, which is the opportunity for anyone that wants to give a supporting, a negative, or just a neutral comments that they want to present. If you wish to testify, you will need to please state your name for the record. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per person. You may give your 3 minutes to another person, so they may have up to 6 minutes to speak, but no one will be allowed more than 6 minutes. Public comments are limited to the specifics of this application. If you agree with another speaker, please just acknowledge agreement. No need to repeat the information again. Any personal or derogatory comments about another person or their position will not be allowed. Clapping, cheering, or booing will not be allowed either. So at this time, is there any written statement that would be like, that anyone would like entered into the record that they have not? So I'm going to make a call for supporting public testimony, either in person or online. Anyone wish to stand up in support of this application? Is there anybody online, Jen? Okay, then neutral. Anyone that's neutral about this application? Okay, then anyone in opposition of this application, in person or online, that would like to stand up and give their comments?
Well, it's.
Please just step up here and,
want me to do this?
there,
Okay.
yep, sorry.
So
And
you
just
want my
state
name?
Your name, please.
I'm Steve Bond and live out there at Sunnyside. It's you know, it's a unique piece of property. I mean, from where I'm at, it's, you know, we deal with the winter plowing and just very busy corner. I mean, it's tight. When we read that it's going to be that close to the road, every one of our properties, we are way, way away from the road. We are all many feet away. So this is going to be rather a challenge for us to keep the road plowed right, because this is a corner that, and in front of where this home, this is where we push a tremendous amount of snow load coming down off the first hill by our properties and getting rid of it. This is a real big challenge in my opinion. Very icy corner. I spend many hours sanding that corner into where it's just, yeah, it's interesting. I would have thought maybe the home would have been set back more in the property and driveway coming up to it, to where when we have snow load coming down, I don't think we'd as affect them as much. But if this is truly built like this is going to really change how I'm getting snow out of a lot of areas. So that's all I really want to say.
When you say, talking about the plowing, where, if you're looking, I guess you guys are getting the same picture behind me.
So if you get back to that Google Earth, like back to daylight, it's really easy. I could show you a little bit.
A way we could get to that. Thank you.
Can I talk and actually point at the screen here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you zoom in on it a little bit, miss? Is that
Yeah.
enough of a zoom?
What'll end up happening is, so Harold's house is here and Paul and Chris. Anyway, we're coming down this hill and the way that we have to, the blade releases, a lot of the snow gets built up exactly right here. I mean, would it be their front yard because of trying to keep all these intersections clean to Harold's and everything else too. The way the normal snow plowing goes, this side, like I said, if there's more room and they know that there's gonna be a lot of snow there, it's just, there's no way that we can keep carrying because that corner's angle, the way we have to plow, we have to make sure all the snow is unloaded literally in their front yard before we hit that corner. That corner is our biggest butt kicker in the winter for getting home in and out. And so that's, I mean, yeah, maybe we've just gotten used to, okay, we've got some free ground here, but like I said, is everyone's usually fairly far away from the roads that we plow to where we have grace. It really is going to change how we're going to tackle snow removal.
So you're saying that as it sits right now in the winter, you basically
We don't
berm right there,
we
like
don't-
you,
push. I mean, we don't sit there and go back and forth and push it there. I'm just saying with how close we're gonna have them build there. This is where a lot of snow comes, because when we start way back on Sunnyside, they zoomed out. I mean, it's getting carried. I mean, it's gonna be with the intersection, the way it's set up. It does get a lot more snow, and we try to get it released before we hit that corner, because the way we're plowing to the inside corner, and a lot of times I turn around and go back up and work the outside corner too, to where it just makes it very interesting for how we're going to approach, especially like heavy snow days. I mean, that's, you know, and Ole has equipment and he's always comes up behind me.
Mhm.
But we have everyone, like I said, everyone lives so far away from the road that we push snow, and this is just, if their yard literally is gonna be on that road, it's not gonna. I don't know, it's gonna be interesting.
Jake, do you know if this was something that was kind of discussed in the original design? Mhm.
Got a lot of calls about that. Really just, um,
And the other yard, that we're looking up there on the top, that's sloped up like that, so it's like, that snow just, it doesn't get. It burns up pretty good as well across the road from them. It's our Achilles heel of our hill that's the reason I'm here today. Most of the time I could care less if somebody else is building there, but I'm just wanted to be set out there with that tight. To be that close to the road with the home right there, and I probably want a yard and everything else. There's just nowhere else to put the snow.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that road. I have to check the reservoir up above it. I'm your guys' water operator.
Yeah.
I know what that road is like in the winter.
It was funny to add to that, but when you're down here.
It seems to me right now that this is more of a building issue than it is a variance issue. So I'm not sure.
You want to keep going to public comment?
Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you.
Yep.
And then Ollie, did you want to get up and?
My name's Ole Olson. I live at 47 East Sunnyside Hill Road. The only thing that, I'm not adverse to this, but as one of the poor saps that works on the road. One problem you've got here is on this slope, like you mentioned, under this yard, we've got about a 20% slope on the uphill side, which literally prevents snow being cast to that side anyway. If we pull down farther and push it into the curve, then we create a flooding situation. Jones down below, because then you get all that snow melt
off.
is coming right down his garage and right to the top of his house there. So and that could be a legal issue, for us. And it's like I said, the problem is it's just simply a choke point. If he has that driveway where he wants to have it, it's gotta be high enough that, it's out of that curve. Because otherwise it's gonna be a collision issue there too, because that curve, no matter our best efforts, it's glare ice half the year. And you can't go out onto that road on a downhill slope in a situation where people on the road can't stop.
They'll be sitting sideways.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's, we've invested about $3,000 or $4,000 into trying to flatten this curve out and widen it. We're trying to make it as good as we can make it. But it's a choke point, like Steve was saying, because with the limited land, we don't have a lot of places to put snow. If we cache it farther down, then we create a flooding situation for the man below the road. And sometimes in 72 hours, we've got 4.5 feet on occasions. And it's a tremendous amount of snow. I just wish that we had some plan to deal with that snow, because we're literally gonna be putting it right up against this house, and we don't want to do that either.
I mean, that's not even like plowing towards his house. I mean,
No, we're just-
it's gonna just end up.
We
Yeah,
have
that's right.
truckloads of snow, we just have no place to put.
That's just where it naturally gets
It,
cast.
yeah, no matter, every time it snows, the berm keeps building and building and building. I mean, that is That has got a lot of snow right there.
If the driveway came in from the bottom, and that's gonna be more of a hardship for him. If the driveway come in from the bottom, and the house was back 20, 25, 30 feet from roadside. We could probably get away with that. We could cache some of it in other places. Try to minimize the drainage downhill out of that curve. But we're gonna,
So, okay. Sorry, I don't want to take up your time to speak. Okay. Did you want to,
I think they pretty much covered my concern.
okay, is there anyone online that has an opposing opinion? They'd want to share? Okay, so if I could I will allow the applicant to give a rebuttal if they would like to at this time.
Hi, this is Jeff Guyette. The only rebuttal that we really have to that is that we worked to try to get the best location, both for driveway access and, we spoke with Ole considerably about the location of the driveway as it is now, where it's right on that curve. Tried to move it uphill as far as we could to try to keep it out of that curve. And then, of course, unfortunately, because of the way the lot is set up, moving it down the hill just really doesn't work. And so while I totally understand some of the problems that might cause, we can work with Ole and the team there and Steve to figure out, is there a way to protect both our property, but also the folks who are plowing, to make sure that that gets done in a way that works for everyone. And, I don't really, I understand that the snow can build up quickly there, and I understand what a challenge that can be. And we want to work to try to make that work for everybody, for sure.
Thank you. So if there's and Susan, did you want to say anything to that, or you're good with what your hubby said?
Hi, this is Sue. Yeah, I mean, the only thing that is concerning is the wells. We have 3 wells that we have to stay 100 feet from in order for our septic field and the house. And so that's really the thing that's keeping that house up on the north side of the property. If we didn't have the well issues, then we certainly could move the house, lower on the property, but we're restricted as far as that's concerned.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'm going to close the hearing to public testimony and try to figure this out. Tyson, you're saying that the eve of the house is actually 25 feet from this, which is right here, yeah.
Well, on the other hand, I wanted to let him know.
This is the wells she's talking about.
First snow.
That's not.
There, she said 3. Where's the third well she was referring to? Okay,
Come out of my driveway, it all goes there.
it sounds like to me. they're
Trying,
willing
we
to work
always-
with them on the plan
We're trying to.
issue, and it's
got a
still, it
place
is
to
almost
push in the
24
corner where the
feet.
little sign is, Paul's place.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then Paul has that big area by his garage, so he's
So
got this.
it's in a constellation. Typically, whenever
Like looking at the plan, their front yard is literally
setback variance,
there.
the typical comment
Yeah,
I don't know.
is if the request is
Oh, yeah,
less
yeah,
than
big
10 feet, they always ask for a 10%
Oh.
setback. So this might be a different case because of the hill and the amount of snow going on there, but that is a typical comment we get from the individual. Hey, but they're asking for 4 feet, we would request, or we would agree, we would be.
Get it out of the curve a little more.
That one picture showed it.
Just something to consider.
I think they're trying to modify that.
Yeah.
They're wells right
Well, and I
there.
think-
We have to be careful. Would you mind doing this conversation? Sorry. Hearing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're still deliberating, we'll try to capture her deliberation, so. Well, we're deliberating over, or I was kind of explaining to her, the typical comment we get from Road and Bridge Department when it's a county-owned road is if the request is less than 10 feet, they usually request a 10-foot setback. So that's a typical comment we get. Let's say this was on, Sunnyside or something along those lines, or someone requested a 2-foot setback where 25 is required. Normally, we get a comment saying, hey, 10 feet is required, or 10-foot setback would be, something that Road and Bridge would approve. I'm Jake Gavell, I'm the planning director. Okay. Any other questions regarding?
What, if you grant this variance, what does that do to the existing 25-foot setback in that area? For, let's say,
It's only for this specific application.
So that's not fair.
Variances are case by case and they follow the land. So this would grant the 10-foot setback as presented in the site plan by the applicant. So
11.
11 foot, sorry, it's small and I'm far away. So that's what so each variance request is land dependent and site specific. So typically it has to be, this is a similar scenario to other variance requests we've gotten where you look at topography, you look at shape and size of the lot and the hindrance or the burden of that specific. So that's where staff came up with our, there's pretty minimal amount of criteria. But that's my piece.
Thank you. No, that helped me a lot. Thank you. Okay.
I had a question real quick. The stuff that's shaded is their lot, right? The 2 chunks? Okay. Yeah, because, yeah, I was gonna say, there's some weird stuff out there, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
GIS is all.
And heat will definitely be a problem.
There is a reference to.
I believe that lower piece of property actually is Marty's driveway is in that.
Part of it is, yes. Creates a setback. In an open basement or something. And access the cars from the very top. My only concern is that this drainage down that.
We've actually closed to public testimony. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read through some of this. Okay, so having heard the concerns about the road plowing, that was an issue that was a concern for me from public comment. But I do believe that this family is willing to work with that. And as their building permit and everything shows, their site plan, there's still a lot of proposed ideas on here that I imagine that they can work with. As far as driveway and this walkway, I see there's a bridge walkway that's proposed. So I believe that they have good intention to work with the folks up Sunnyside Hill there to deal with those plowing issues, the snow removal. And, but I also know that there was addressing the concern, the letter that was written, the building permit does and has required the erosion control plan and stormwater management plan. They were done by professionals and they are there to be implemented. And so I believe that that's an issue that's also been addressed and will be addressed in the construction of this house, this property. So having said that, I approve this project V0017-22 requesting an 11-foot and 13-foot street setback where 25 feet is required to construct a single-family dwelling with an attached garage, finding that it is in accord with the Bonner County Revised Code as enumerated in the following conclusions of law and based upon the evidence submitted up to the time of the staff report was prepared and testimony received at this hearing. I further adopt the findings of fact and conclusions of law as set forth in the staff report and direct planning staff to draft written findings and conclusions to reflect this decision and transmit to all interested parties. This action does not result in the taking of property, private property. The action that could be taken to obtain the approval of the variance is to complete the conditions of approval as adopted. Okay. At this point, are there any staff updates, schedule reminders, announcements that I need to know about? Did I miss something?
What updates I have for you. So, we did a text amendment with the board last week that, there's some cleanup in that code, specifically in the conditional use permit code. 12 something. I don't know off the top of my head.
Why not?
I had it memorized last week when I was presenting it. 247, thank you.
Ah,
No,
yeah.
223.
223.
225 also needs to be updated. And all it does is just say that the hearing examiner has authority to review. approve.
Okay.
It's just something that never got updated over time. So I'll go back in and change and update 225 as well. Again, I think we talked about this at the last hearing, is that 12-127 is what establishes your authority to make those conditional use permit decisions. So that's the one thing. There were some changes a little bit on amendments, but those don't affect you, so you don't ever see amendment files as well as building plan.
Oh, yeah.
There were some road standards changed for lot line adjustments, boundary line adjustments, and family exemptions.
Okay.
That won't affect your, like what you do, just kind of something to be aware of. The other big change that we're presenting to the board next week in a formal setting, we've talked through it, something that we've been working on since last spring, is adding Panhandle Health back on the building location permit review. And that'll be done in Title 11, so it's outside of LUPA land use. Land Use Planning Act, thank you. Just kind of brain fart. The Land Use Planning Act, so it's not a land use action, it doesn't follow Title 12 and noticing and all that. And there's a hearings for those, it's with the Title 11 updates, it's building regulation. So we've been working with the board and with the members of Panhandle Health, right, on the best way on this, so we'll present that to the board next Tuesday. Just something to kind of be aware of, we're adding just a little bit, I wouldn't call it regulation, just some process and review for them to help get less violations on it.
Yeah.
Help people, so they're not building stuff over their separate thing.
Right.
But somebody else's, right? So
Yeah.
That's really what we're trying to do, and I guess there's been a number of those scenarios, so they like it. So they didn't want
That's a
to
good thing.
implement this at the beginning of summer due to their workloads. This will give us the winter to kind of implement that process, work out any kinks if any, and then by next summertime, springtime, we should have it running really well. But we're adding that to the code next week. We've been doing kind of some trial runs the last month and a half. So
That's good.
this is a
Yes.
update, yeah.
This is my part.
It's a update from staff as to stuff we're working on. I try to give her some updates as to things that might affect her or questions she might get.
The file that I reviewed though, is closed, so you don't have to stay if you don't want to.
File portion.
You approved this, right?
Yes,
The meeting's over?
that part of it is.
The hearing is over, so.
Yeah.
The agenda as presented has a number of items on it, so just like approving the minutes at the beginning of a meeting. We have hearing items and at the top of this discussion period where staff has an opportunity to provide updates. to the agenda. So I do this with the planning commission and zoning commission. So we met with planning last night, we'll meet with zoning tomorrow night, it's a 3-in-a-row week for us. So I try to give updates as to text amendments or other things that they might get questions about, so members of the public, right? And when they find out you're in the planning or zoning or hearing examiner position, sometimes you get questions. So,
I have a couple of. So you approved this. The professionals are gonna do the water runoff. Guarantee do we have that that's gonna happen?
Those,
So all of that,
that's the building permit.
yeah, so the
actually, that's
building
not me.
location permit based on topography, they require a geotechnical analysis and then a professional stormwater grading plan.
You just didn't.
And the
didn't you just
erosion
say
plan
it-
is already
it's
according.
Part of this build, it has to be.
The erosion control plan is already in place, for temporary and permanent, and the building location permit will require a stormwater management plan.
Is there gonna be an inspection to make sure?
Yes.
It's done?
But
that's-
that's all the building permit. That's not me. I can't answer to that.
That's a different part of the planning
Different part of
department. Yeah.
Well, it falls under Title 11, it falls under the plan. department.
Can I ask a kind of unrelated question, just you guys just cooking your brains? Nothing official like, on that Park Hill. I mean, we've been trying as much as we can to come as close to standards in the county as we can. Numerous times we've talked to commissioners about, making an exception on this Park Hill. Is there anything else we could do? I mean, because for our point, we didn't build a place.
Yeah, it really is up to the board to accept any new road in the county. So there's nothing, they. Let's meet that, because we're still like in our public meeting, so let me finish this and we'll. I think that's all the updates I have for you, Jackie. We'll have some staff updates and changes, for some new employees coming on in the next probably 2 weeks.
Cool.
So I'm finally filling all. the seats.
Good.
We'll have one opening after that, which I don't know if I'll fill before the end of the year. I'm kind of waiting to see where the workload shifts. It would have been really nice having through the whole summer, but, yeah, so we'll leave it for the winter time and we'll kind of reassess come January.
Okay.
At that position, so other than that, I think we'll have filled the rest of what. That's all I got to do.
Anybody else? Nothing? Okay, then at this time of 2:12, I am going to adjourn the public hearing of the Bonner County Hearing Examiner until November 2nd. Maybe 2022. Okay, thank you.